Hello and welcome to Jeff's Ultimate Guide for Flipping. In this video I'm going to show you how I flip, what I look for flipping, what items I deem as good items, what items I deem as bad items, and I'll show you some examples of some flips and actually how I make a little bit over 1 mil in a half hour. So without further ado, we're diving right into it. For starters, the website I use is just prices.runescape.wiki, or the prices exchange built right into the RuneScape wiki, which if you want to find it easily, you can look up any item on RuneScape and you click on the real item prices below the item and it brings you right to the wiki page. And then I set up my filters in a way that shows me certain items that I deem flippable or good flipping items, and I'll have that shown on screen right now as well. Prior to the 1% GE tax, the way I would do flipping before would be I would try to buy an item for like 15 or 20% above the normal price, and that would become my selling price eventually, and then I would sell that item for 20% below the medium price, and that would become my buy price or a little above that. So you'd be buying for the lower, selling for the higher price, and you would lose one of your buy limits for that, and you'd also take a loss on the first flip, so you wouldn't be making a profit to your second or third flip, depending on how big of a cut you were trying to take. So this method, you actually are making a lot more money per flip, and yes, it's a lot more guessing, but when you start getting items right, your profits are nuts, and it's just a lot of trial and error. Once you find your groove, you find your items, it's all gravy from there, baby. As you can see, I put in an offer for the Dragon Claws and they already bought, and the reason I chose that item, as you can see by the graph on the screen, is it has a very consistent buy ceiling and a very consistent sell ceiling, and that consistency enables me to make consistent profit without taking a loss or having a dramatic price drop. Sometimes you'll have those dramatic price increases and you can make some mad profit. For long-term flipping, I always look for a consistent item over an item with a lot of volatility. If I'm trying to make a lot of money real fast, the volatility can be a nice thing, but consistency is the key when it comes to flipping. So when I'm looking at these graphs and I want to decide to choose an item, an easy way to calculate the 1% tax is just 1% of the selling price, so the high price. So if it's 100 mil, 1% of 100 mil is 1 mil. So you want to make sure your gap between your buy and sell is over that 1 mil. And it doesn't have to be like an exact lineup. It can just be, look at like the most recent like 2-3 hours and you can kind of take guesses. It's a lot of guessing, but once you get your items going, it's really good. And while you throw offers in and you're doing all this guessing, you can go do other stuff in the game, or you can do this on an alt account because you can do 2 accounts at once, and you can easily be flipping on 2 accounts and easily be making enough for bonds once you get going. It's pretty fun and it gets to be pretty addicting. There will be times where I'm scrolling through the website trying to look at items and I'll have over 15-20 tabs open of different items trying to look at them, and I can quickly glance at the graphs, and by the time I close out of all the bad ones, I'll end up with 4 or 5 good ones. So it's a lot of just searching for stuff, and you can do this with any denomination of money in the game. I have a 1 GP to 100 mil series on my channel I started, and I'm up to, well, you have to go look to find out. And I have some other flipping challenges, a free to play flipping challenge, a flipping challenge with 2 mils. So if you want to check those out, they're on my channel, so you can go to my channel and check that out, with a bunch of other kind of videos, some history videos, other stuff like that. You hear that? That's the signature gravy train horn as we make 173k in the first Dragon Claw flip, as I try to expand the margins on it here by dropping the price by 20k. And we luckily get some more flips coming through as the Torture buys, and the Void Waker also sells for a nice profit of 169k. Now there's 2 different trains of thought here. You can either expand the margins by dropping the price you buy it for to try to make a little bit more money. You could try to sell it for a little bit more money to make a little bit more profit. Or you could also try to buy it for a little bit more and sell it for a little bit less, so making a less of a profit to increase the volume sold. So if you're trying to just make a lot of money quickly, you don't have too much time to actively flip, as the AGS makes a little 19k flip. And the AGS is one of those that I was talking about, that I'm not going to go for huge margins. I'm trying to find a good margin, then I'm going to buy multiples of them, because on a lower priced item, I know 11 mils quite a bit for some players, but once you get going on flipping, you'll make more money than you've ever made before in the game. And you can do it so passively. You can do it literally in just minutes of in-game time once you get good at it. In my experience, an item with a higher volume sold leaves you with less wiggle room in the prices. You can't really play with the prices too much. It's more of something you try to max out your 4-hour buy limit on. The D-Claws bought for 20k less than I bought them previously, so that's an example of expanding the margins. I try to sell them for the same price I sold them before, as we sell the Bow of Fey Dirin for a nice profit of 329k. Now Now that's a slow flip item where there's not too many sold per day, per hour, so you can try to slowly flip it, so I'm not going to play with the price too much on that. The Torture Ammy ends up selling for a profit of 49k, and now that's an item that has a usual daily volume around 2 to 3,000, so that can be a real quick buying 7-8 of them, and you can make a nice big profit on that. As we sell another AGS for 30k this time, I end up being able to make another 11k from the first one. And if you look down at the report button, I've only been on for almost 20 minutes doing this flipping. We've already made over $500,000. Now that I found a price that works for the AGS, I try to buy 2 of them this time so I can make a profit of 60k if I can get them both to come through and sell both of them. And the AGS, like the Torture Amulet, is an item that sells quite a few per day, because I think a lot of it are PvPers and also PVMers. I don't know how many PVMers use the AGSs, but I know back in the day I'd like to buy that kind of item to use when I was doing Slayer or something. Yes, that was the gravy train sound again as we get the AGSs into the GE, and we also sold the Dragon Claws for 193k profit, so that is a 20k profit more than the first time around. So our little experiment of expanding the profit there, or expanding the margins there, worked out for us, so I was very happy with that, as the AGS sell for 60k profit. So that's awesome. We could do 8 of them, so 8 times 3 would be 240k, so you could make 240k off a $250,000 off of them. That'd be not too bad. You could do them one at a time too if you only had 11 mil. As another Boa Fedarian comes through, I'm so bad with the names, man. I'll never learn. A small tip if you want to see a most recent sold price is to go onto your exchange history, and you can see I highlighted it with the Boa Fedarian here, and you can see that I recently sold for that price, so I can just memorize that quick or just write it down real fast and you repunch that in. It's not too hard. We throw the Bofa into the GE for that 134 288k, which is a little tricky type K&M, and it sells for a profit of 329k again. That is just absolutely beautiful. And that Bofa is actually going to be the last flip of the video, as I wanted to do just like a half hour of decent flips, get some good examples. I got some pretty good examples. About 25 minutes of real time went by as I close out these offers, and we can see the money we made in the 25 minutes of flipping while giving you guys examples. It looks like we made about 1.3 mil. That is absolutely incredible. My one word of advice to anybody is don't be afraid of the GE and don't be afraid to try flipping. I hope this video helped you out. If it did, please leave a like, subscribe for more. I make all sorts of videos from flipping to PvP to old nostalgia stuff, and I'll be making tons and tons more in the future. So I'm Jeff, and I'll see you next time. Thanks for watching. You're cute.